yet on gay marriage. The leader of the Catholic Church in England and Wales accuses David Cameron of shallow thinking.
There's been no green paper, there's been no statement in a Queen's speech, and yet here we are on the verge of primary legislation. From a democratic point of view, it's a shambles.
Several people are thought to have been killed in a crash which has closed the M6 in Staffordshire. The Queen overcomes a cold to attend the annual Christmas Day church service at Sandringham.
Let me give you a lesson in anatomy. The thigh bone is connected to the knee bone. The knee bone is connected to the shin bone. The shin bone is...
Look at Quincy.
And the star of Quincy, the veteran American screen, stage and television actor Jack Klugman, has died at the age of 90. Well, hello, very good afternoon. The leader of the Roman Catholic Church in England and Wales has used his Christmas message to make his most outspoken attack yet on the government's proposals to introduce gay marriage. The Archbishop of Westminster, Vincent Nichols, said the process had been undemocratic and shambolic. Our religious affairs correspondent Robert Piggott reports.
With carols, candles and Holy Communion, Roman Catholics at Westminster Cathedral heralded the coming of Christmas. The Church's leader in England and Wales, Archbishop Vincent Nichols, told them that Christmas was a reminder that human lives could be raised to an entirely new realm. But Archbishop Nichols claimed that this Christmas, the Christian ideal of marriage was under threat. He accused the government of behaving in an Orwellian fashion and using undemocratic means to create a new sham version of marriage.
Frankly, the process is shambolic. There was no announcement in any party manifesto. There's been no green paper. There's been no statement in a Queen's speech. And yet here we are on the verge of primary legislation. From a democratic point of view, it's a shambles.
This was Archbishop Nichols' strongest attack yet on the government's plans for gay marriage. There was real anger in his passionate criticism of the government's plans and a call to Catholics to join the political struggle against them. Rowan Williams arrived at Canterbury Cathedral this morning for his final sermon as leader of the Church of England. He acknowledged that the Church had lost credibility by voting not to create women bishops. He said secularists were delighted by a decline in the number of people in recent census results identifying themselves as Christian. But, claimed Dr. Williams, 6 in 10 people still regarded Christianity as their natural home, despite the demands it placed upon them. In Rome, Pope Benedict wished a crowd of thousands in St. Peter's Square a happy Christmas in 65 languages. He called for an end to the bloodshed in Syria and a conflict that he said reaped innocent victims. And there was a message to China which disputes the Vatican's right to ordain priests. The Pope asked China's new leaders to esteem the role of religion among their noble people. Robert Piggott, BBC News.
Well, Rowan Williams, the Archbishop of Canterbury, has delivered his last Christmas sermon as head of the Anglican Church. He spoke about the Church's failure to allow women bishops and about the falling number of people who defined themselves as Christian.
Well, 59% of British people describe themselves as Christians. So the census informed us a couple of weeks ago. 12% down from 10 years back. There was, of course, great delight from a couple of secularist organisations. But if I were a member of the British Humanist Association, I might want to pause before I became too excited. It remains true that 3/4 of the public still want to identify themselves as having a religious faith of some kind. And what the census doesn't and probably can't measure is exactly how those who don't identify as religious think about religion. Do they never give it a thought? Do they wish they could believe something? Do they see it as a problem or as a resource in society? In the deeply painful aftermath of the Synod's vote last month, what was startling was how many people who certainly wouldn't have said yes to the census question turned out to have a sort of investment in the church, a desire to see the church looking credible, and a real sense of loss when, as they saw it, the church failed to sort its business out. There's a lot more questions to ask before we could possibly assume that the census figures told us that faith was losing its hold on society.
So the Archbishop of Canterbury there, and that of course, he's the outgoing Archbishop, so that is his last Christmas sermon. And now the Queen has attended a Christmas Day church service at Sandringham. That's along with Prince Philip and other members of the royal family. This year's festivities will be quieter than usual because Prince Harry is in Afghanistan and Prince William is spending the day with his wife's family in Berkshire. Well, our royal correspondent Louisa Baldini is with us now. And Louisa, I mean, there was presumably some doubt over the Queen because she wasn't able to attend a church service at the weekend.
That's right. She was unwell enough not to attend the church in Sandringham on Sunday. She was suffering from the tail end of a cold, we were told. But today she looks quite cheerful, attending Mary Magdalene Church there in Sandringham, back up and about clearly. Christmas Day is a special time for the royal family every year. I think it will be particularly significant for the Queen this year, coming at the end of her Diamond Jubilee, and also because Prince Philip is back at her side this Christmas. This time last year he was in hospital in Cambridgeshire after being treated for a blocked coronary artery, and he's had 2 other stints in hospital this year as well. Unusually, the Duke of Cambridge will not be at Sandringham. He and the Duchess of Cambridge, who are expecting their first child, are with the Middleton family in Bucklebury in Berkshire. They've had the Queen's blessing, but I expect they will be visiting Sandringham at some point over the Christmas period. The Duke of Edinburgh there, we see, as I said, last year he was in hospital for several days, and it must have been quite an anxious time for the Queen and the rest of the royal family. And one other absenteeism today, Prince Harry, who is serving in Afghanistan, where he is an Apache pilot. So most of the royal family there with the Queen, but a few key players also absent.
Always gets a good crowd outside as well, doesn't it? I mean, it's what, a couple of hours we hear the Queen's address, which is interesting, if nothing else, for the technological change of it.
Yes, it has been produced to be broadcast in 3D this year, and according to Buckingham Palace, the Queen didn't need any convincing. She embraced the suggestion that it should be in 3D, and they also say that she had her own pair of special glasses with crystal cues on either side, and that she watched her message after it had been recorded, and that she enjoyed the experience. The themes, we understand, will include service, achievement and the spirit of togetherness. Thinking back to the Olympics in the summer, she will pay tribute to the nation's Olympic and Paralympic athletes and to a splendid summer of sport. So it will be broadcast in 3D for those who have 3D televisions, but most of us don't. It will also be broadcast in standard and high definition and on the radio as well at 3 p.m.
All right, 3D on the radio, that'll be interesting. Louisa, thanks very much. Thank you. Now, a number of people have been killed in a serious crash on the M6 motorway